Hello, 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 hello. I don't have a song in my head right now to start off with. Um, Maybe another Lady Gaga song. I think it was me. How bad do you want me? Do you know that song? Yeah, I was trying to sing it. I just can't. But I love that song. Anyways, that was not a great intro. Let's get to what we're doing today. On this fine Tuesday, April 22nd, I need to stop saying the dates in my live streams because one day it's going to be like so old. They're like, God damn. Well, I didn't say the year. This could be any year, right? So let's get to the point of this video. Welcome to my live stream. Today, we will be actually reading my fic. You know how I'm always talking about writing my fic? Well, I didn't make much progress from the last Tuesday when I started writing it. I actually started writing stuff and I had at least 2 to 3 pages and I just kept staring at it and I'm like, something just does not, it just wasn't given. It just wasn't feeling. And as a writer, if any of you guys are writers, you probably know, it just don't be feeling, and when it doesn't feel, this is poetry. When it doesn't feel, sometimes you got to start over. And so that's what I'm doing. And I know my readers are probably disappointed because the last chapter I posted was April 4th. But what do you want from me? I'm trying my best here. Anyway, let's get to reading, okay? So if you're new to my live streams or to my channel or whatever, I talk about this fan fiction that I write. Oh, it's finally over 300,000 words. I'm always calling it 300,000 words, but I actually know now it is. I just kind of figured it was by now because the first one's 230,000 and the second one's at 77,000. So I'm going to be reading the chapters, and I recently reread the first part. This is the first part, Freedom and Forgiveness. I started it in 2022, finished it, I don't know, early last year, I think, because that's when I started Freedom and Chaos. And so Freedom and Chaos has been going for about a little over a year now. I only have 14 chapters and I'm trying to get to writing more. But like I said, let's actually read some. So I'm going to do my best to read this as entertaining as possible because I don't want to just be like blah, 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 blah. I feel like this is a cool way for me to go back and have an audience of people. I can react. We can react together to the shit I wrote. It's like a behind the scenes, and I think that's really cool. And if nobody else watches this, I can go back and I can read this myself and be like, yeah, ooh, girl, what were you thinking? Or that was really good, So I think that's what we're going to do. So let's get started. Freedom. Oh yeah, this is a low-key ex-reader fic, okay? There's no your name in here. Also, I am not, just in case you think I'm about to read all 54 chapters today, no, that's not what's happening. This is part 1 of reading this 3-year-old fanfic. Long, slow burn fanfic, okay? I'm going to be doing this for a while. As you can see, we got a lot of words to get to, and so this is going to be me practicing speaking because clearly I'm a writer. I'm not really a talker. All right, so let's go over some of the tags really quick. So yeah, it's a Marvel Cinematic Universe, low-key / reader fic. It has the basic Avengers, not any of the special fancy Avengers we got today. I'm going to have to change these tags soon to make them more accurate. All of these tags are still accurate, but I want to, like, for example, it says eventual smut. There's no smut in here. I thought it was going to be. Like, I wasn't trying to purposely say, like, get people like, oh, come on, there's going to be smut and romance, and it's actually going to be in the second part. So no, I have not written any smut in here yet. In this one, you know, in the second one, we're almost there. We're almost there. All right, so other than that, yes, there's a attempted, you can say, I don't want to say that on YouTube. I don't want to get this this video flagged, but yes, there's attempted. It doesn't actually happen. That's why it says attempted. So it's all right. And it's only a very small part of the story. We're not doing all that in here. Okay. So, Freedom and Forgiveness by Dark Serenity 24. When the infamous god of mischief escapes his cell in the basement of the Avengers Tower, he accidentally comes across you while looking for revenge. I gotta get my mic out next time I do this so you don't hear all of like the echoey. Like, I have a pretty large ceiling. I have a high ceiling, and I'm pretty sure it could get tiring if I'm in here and I'm talking. But for now, for this one, we're just gonna use the audio that I have. Okay, hello all. This is my first fic, and I think ever. I haven't attempted writing since 2017, but I have found some newfound inspiration to write now, solely on AO3 now Tumblr. And that's still the case. I don't write anywhere else but AO3 and Tumblr. This fic is going to be a wild ride, but a very slow burn, and it is a slow burn. I was not lying. I thought it was going to be faster. I thought it was going to be a fast burn. Actually, this is not. So hold on to your horses, folks. Sound like I'm from Texas. I'm a Midwestern. And forgive any typos or grammatical errors, because there are typos, there's grammatical errors, there's missing words, but it's not so bad where it's like, I write well enough to keep it like, maybe you'll come across a missing word and you're like, whatever. It's not terrible. So anyways, let's move on. So, I can't believe I'm doing this. All right, let's do it. The first time you met the Avengers, you were 14 years old. Yes. A year previously, your father had begun his work at one of the tallest well-known skyscrapers in New York City, Stark Tower, or the Avengers Tower if you prefer. Never being much of a social person. Also, if I'm reading too slow, feel free to put it on like 2 times speed or something. If you're watching this after. If you're watching this live, I'm sorry. I'm going to do my best to read as fast as possible. Okay. Never being much of a social person, you stayed at home and never even ventured near the building. Not until one day when your dad mentioned that he'd think it'd be a good idea for you to come along to work with him for a couple days. He'd been working so much lately, leaving you at home alone. You always told him that you didn't mind the solitude, being as you were constantly alone all the time. Sure, you had lots of hobbies that you enjoyed, but they didn't include making friends. Oh my God. It's so cringe, but so true, you know? Who likes making friends? For real, for real. You were a bit socially awkward, always meaning well, but sometimes stumbling over your words, like me in real life. People would smile at you and tolerate you, but they'd never stick around. She sounded kind of sad. Oh my God. To make things even worse, your mother had died a few years ago and she was your absolute best friend. You used to do everything together. You loved your family and was so grateful to have them until, your mom's death absolutely shook you and your father to the core. Things have gotten a bit better, but both of you still mourn for her. He for his wife and you for your mother. Your father started burying himself in work. Hold on, my cat's toys just came on. Of course. I thought I turned everything off. Apparently not. He doesn't even like this thing. turn it on anyway. Okay, back to business. Where was I? Oh God, okay. Your father started burying himself in work. You never found a good way to cope with her loss. Things got darker for you. And things got darker for you with you getting more depressed day by day. You ate less and slept more, welcoming the blissful state of dreaminess and forgetfulness, even if it was only for a few hours. When you did happen to leave the comfort of your home, you dressed in dark colors, trying to blend in with the rest of the gloomy world around you. See, this is like part of this was me kind of blending myself with the reader. I wasn't trying to make the reader me, but there are some true things in here, like about depression, like I'm not gonna lie, and about dark clothing. Like I wore dark clothing for years, and I still do actually, just not as much. But no, my mom's not dead. Mom's not dead. Luckily. I can't believe I'm laughing about that. Okay. You started doing school online since your dad ruled that you were too mentally ill to attend in person. One might be curious enough to ask, how did your father have the authority to rule you as mentally ill and pull you out of school? Well, that's because he's a world-renowned psychologist, so people trusted that he knew damn well what he was talking about, and that he did. You didn't even get upset at him for pulling you out of attending school in person. It was quite a relief, and you knew it was for the best. But he knew you still needed to get out more and spend as much time as possible with him as possible. That's why you found yourself here, where you are now, outside on the sidewalk of the rainy and cold New York streets. Okay, visuals. Staring up at the tall tower in awe. You heard your father call your name, snapping you out of your trance and looking over at him. Are you ready, little bean? He asked, giving you a soft smile. You hug your oversized black hoodie to your cold body while shuffling a bit. Your Converse squeaks on the rainy pavement. Not the Converse. I mean, she was 14. What 14-year-old isn't wearing Converse? You know, like I've been over them for ages, but oversized black hoodie, all the 14-year-olds doing it, right? Also, these block paragraphs are crazy to me. I'm happy I got out of writing them like this. Pretty quickly, actually. In the next few chapters, I stopped writing in blocks. It's crazy. Okay. You're trying your best to prepare for the constant human interaction you know will happen, but still dreading it heavily. Taking a deep breath, you quickly force out a nod to your father. Yeah, Dad, I'm ready. Your father reaches his hand out to you, and you both step into the shiny glass doors of the imposing tower. As you enter the doors, the warmth inside quickly engulfs your body, helping you relax a bit. Your body slowly becoming less cold and stiff. Your father leads you over to the security checkpoint, greeting the guards while flashing his work pass. You both get through the luggage, and he leads you across the freshly waxed floor and toward the reflective elevator doors. As there's a lot of visuals going on. I really was trying to paint a picture here. I think it was pretty successful. As you both wait for the elevators, you turn your head and look around the lobby. The building was gorgeous, but quite flashy. Knowing what little you knew about the man who owns the building, Tony Stark, you're not actually surprised. She said, yeah, this 14-year-old yeah, this is so Tony Stark. There were quite a number of people bustling around on this floor, but not a ton for it to feel overcrowded. Or maybe it felt like that because the tower was so expansive. You turn back to the doors as the elevator dings, ding, and slides open. Stepping through the doors, you're glad to find that it's just you and your father that will be riding this car. Once they shut, your father slide, that's supposed to be a comma, once they shut. Your father slides his pass through a slot by the round buttons, takes it out, then presses the button that goes to the highest floor. The elevator begins to move. You look at your father curiously, with one raised eyebrow. He smiles reassuringly at you, and you both wait patiently as the car goes up without stopping. Once you reach the desired floor, you and your father step out into the lobby, this one being smaller but no less grand than the one on the first floor. Before you can even turn your head to observe more, I love the word even. You'll notice that. I'm like, even when I say like most of the time in real life, my like when I speak is even in writing. And I've been trying to fix that. Can you even? Okay, before you can even turn your head to observe more, you hear a male voice call out from beside you. Hey, Doc, glad you can make it today. And who's this little lady you brought along with you? The man walking down the corridor looks at you with a blinding smile. He has a blazer over a nerdy graphic t-shirt, tight pants, and is wearing dark shades, even though you all are inside. Shades or not, you didn't even have to guess. There's that even again. You didn't even have to guess who it is. The man behind the tower in the red and gold metal suit. I love to just say things without actually saying them. This literally means, bitch, that's Tony Stark. That's Iron Man. But I don't do that a lot. I'm like, you know who this is. Tony, I'd like you to meet my daughter. Your dad tells him your name. You see, we don't do YNs in here. I hate YNs. No offense if you write with YN. I can't do the insert your name here thing. It just takes me out of the story. I'm like, what the f is this? That's my opinion. It may be unpopular. I have no idea. It's just a personal thing. He said your name. He tells you your name. She will be tagging along with me today and hopefully other days after this if all goes well. And she likes it here. Tony nods. So this is the one and only you're always speaking so highly about. Nice to meet you, kid. He holds his hand out for you to shake. You put on a smile and slowly reach for his hand, shaking it. Thank you for letting my father bring me along today, Mr. Stark, you spit out shyly. Tony shakes his head. Please, no Mr. Stark business. Call me Tony. And no props, your dad is welcome to bring whoever he wants here. Not only does he do a hell of a job keeping the peace around here, I might even say I trust him with my life. Stark gets cut off by the sound of loud ringing. He holds his finger up, pulls his high-tech phone out of the front of his pocket of his blazer, and answers it with a short and quick Stark. He listens, face darkening for a bit at what he was hearing. But when you made eye contact with him, he quickly pulled his face together with a smile. Okay, yeah, got it. We'll be down there ASAP. With that, he ends his call, takes a breath, and looks at your father with a strained smile. Your father looks back at him with a knowing look in his eyes. Anyway. I write anyways a lot. I say anyways instead of anyway. So yeah, my flaws are in my writing too. That's okay. That's how you know it's me. Tony starts. Sorry, my cat's just back there just doing cat fuckery. Anyways, I know you can't be with your father the whole time, so I got a room set up for you. You can stay there anytime you come visit, and while your father is away working on important matters, Tony stumbles out. You look up at your father a bit confused, not knowing what they were trying to keep hidden from you. He smiles down at you again, reassuringly as he always does. You know what your father does, but you don't know the exact extent of its job. He is a psychologist at the Avengers Tower, which naturally means he has patients that are in need of help and need someone to talk to. Whether it's a small and light conversation, just the vent, or if it's delving deep into some emotional and even physical trauma. Life for the average human was hard enough, so no telling what the life of an Avenger entailed. You can only imagine the stories your father has heard while working here for the past year. You shudder just even thinking about it. Tony shows you and your dad around, zipping through the confused halls of the highest floor in the building and giving brief descriptions of rooms as he passes. The workout room and the training room, which you guess were somehow different from each other, the pool, laundry room, kitchen, and even a movie theater. He leads you through the living room and you take in the beautiful but definitely Stark-like decor. You finally reach where you guess to be your room, and Tony turns to you and your father. This is you, and your dad's room is right next door. He points to a door not too far to the right of yours. I haven't shown you all the rooms yet, like the lab and the conference room, yada, 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 but feel free to explore yourself. Try not to get too lost. He smiles. Unfortunately, Duty is literally calling right now. How can Duty literally? Is somebody named Duty literally calling? I do that a lot. Anyway, sorry, I get annoyed by my own work. I'm like, what do you mean? Moving on. And your dad and I need to go. You look at your dad again and he smiles at you apologetically. Sorry, little bean, I wasn't planning on leaving you so soon, but I'll be back as soon as I can. Text me if you need me. He leans down slightly and kisses your forehead, squeezing your shoulder. Tony reaches into his pocket, pulls out a fancy-looking key card and hands it to you. Here's your pass to get into your room, the elevator, and other rooms that aren't classified. Have fun, kid. Then he turns and walks briskly down the hall with your father, following not too far behind him. You stand at the door of your room, still a bit stunned and confused from their sudden rush to leave. Shrugging, you scan the pass and open the door. It's a beautiful room, much grander and larger than yours at home. A large bed by an even larger window with white curtains. A spacious and pristine bathroom with a tub and shower, and a small but still pretty large kitchenette. You begin to unpack what little you brought with you. A couple pairs of clothes, pajamas, toiletries, books, and a small picture frame with a photo of you and your mom. You stare at the photo a bit before letting out a small sigh, sitting it on the nightstand next to your bed. Your father brought you here so he could spend more time with you while he worked. You understood it, but you also realized that you might be just as lonely while being here in the same building as him. Damn. You couldn't follow him around everywhere, but at least he could skip the commute time and come to you when he was done working, hopefully. You lay back on the bed and close your eyes, deep in thought. You don't know how this is going to turn out, but you'll try to stop being so emo and make the best of it. Make the best out of it. I promise I'll get better at reading the more I read this. I do not do this often, clearly. But yep, so that's chapter 1. It was pretty short, but I'm glad because Jesus, if I had to read any more. Here's a note that I wrote. I said, the summary of this fic is like 0.00001% of what is this story is actually going to be about. But it's an attention grabber, right? You need the summary so people can be like, because it is an interesting thing. But yeah, it's not, you're not just going to be captured and blah, blah, blah. Like there's like actual substance to this story, and we will see as I keep going. I said, I promise you, you won't regret reading this. I don't know how I can promise you that, but there's lots of people who's read this and are still reading this, so. And then I wrote this note about the reader starts off as a minor. She's not going to be a minor the full time. Like, we know how troubling that, at least for me. If you see suspicious tags, that won't happen till later. No underage sketchiness will be happening. We don't roll that way. And, you know, I got great kudos. Almost 1,000 guests left kudos. That's really cool. And then all the users. And I respond to every comment. So you're going to see me like, there's rarely a comment you see that I don't respond to. Like, she left as much later and I must have missed that. But, good stuff. So, yeah, this is chapter 1 of Freedom and Forgiveness. And I will continue working on my reading voice for you guys so we can have some fun with this, because I've never thought about putting I've talked about my fic and how I'm writing it, and I've never thought actually putting it on YouTube. So in a way, it's like you can read it on YouTube now if I do this, and that's really cool. Maybe one day I'll have Siri read it, in case, like, if there's a day I'm like, bro, I can't do this. My throat's like, I can't read today. And we'll read it with Siri, and then I'll like discuss things or pause it as I need to. We'll see. We're experimenting right now. Okay, well, that's all I have for you folks, and I hope you enjoyed this even just a little bit, and I will see you next Tuesday.